Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles, the bishops, and the elders of GMS rules well. Peace and salutation to the elect. My name is Ainal. The title of this video is Heritage, right? And basically just, get right into that. Basically who we are, a little bit. Uh, so we'll start with it, Romans 9. All right. Oh. Now just to get to the point, Romans 9 and 4 says, who are the Israelites, right? That's us, the Israelites, Pursuant to Ezekiel 37, we have what? Woken back up to the truth of who we are, right? Which I'm gonna get these precepts because we discontinued from our heritage. We was in a period of deep sleep, pretty much. So Romans 9 and 4, it says, who are the Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption and the glory and the covenants and the giving of the law and the service of Yahweh and the promises. It says, whose are the fathers, and of whom as concerning the flesh Yahweh Shai came, who is over all, Yahweh blessed forever, amen. Right? So I'm gonna grab this NLT. Romans 9 and 4 NLT, it says, matter of fact, I guess with the NLT, we'll start at 1. Romans 9 and 1 NLT, it says, with Yahweh Shai as my witness, I speak with utter truthfulness. My conscience and the Holy Spirit confirm it. My heart, which is the mind, is filled with bitter sorrow and unending grief. For my people, my Jewish brothers and sisters, I would be willing to be forever cursed, cut off from Yahweh Shai, if that would save them. It says they are the people of Israel, right? And what scripture say? I know the work of them that say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Right, so this is talking about this Jewish here is talking about the actual Israelites, right? Not the fake JWOs over in the land of Israel. It says they are the people of Israel, chosen to be Yahweh's adopted children. Yahweh revealed his glory to them. He made covenants with them and gave them his law. He gave them the privilege of worshiping him and receiving his wonderful promises. It says Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are their ancestors, and Yahweh Shai himself was an Israelite as far as his human nature is concerned. And he is God, the one who rules over everything and is worthy of eternal praise. Amen. Right? So, I mean, it's pretty much self-explanatory. So what it's saying here, it says he gave them the privilege of worshiping him and receiving his wonderful promises. Right? So what does that go into? The covenant. Right? The covenant that he made with our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Right? Let me grab some of that. Just bear with me while I find these precepts. Let me see, Genesis 22. Right. So we got here the offering of Isaac. Yeah. All right, so it's right here. All right, so basically it says what? The offering of Isaac. So Abraham was told by the Lord Yahweh to offer up his son, his only son, Isaac, right? For a sacrificial lamb, basically, and basically Abraham was going to do it. But at the last moment, Yahweh stopped him, just to test his faith. And then it goes into the blessing, right? So let me go over here. Right, so I get to the point where it says that. Genesis 22:11, it says, and the angel of the Lord Yahweh called unto him out of heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, here I am. And he said, lay not thine hand upon the lad, not to do thou anything unto him? For now I know that thou fearest Yahweh, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him was a ram caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering in the stead of his son. See, so it was his faith, that the Most High, wanted to show of him, right? It says, and Abraham called the name of that place uh, Jehovah Jireh, right? As it is said to this day, in the mount of the Lord Yahweh it shall be seen. Let's see what that's talking about right here. It says Jehovah, the existing one. Let's see what we do better say. No, that's wrong. It says the proper name of the one true power, unpronounced, except with the vowel pointings. So basically, it's the name of the Lord. All right. It says, and the angel of the Lord Yahweh called unto Abraham out of heaven the second time and said, by myself have I sworn, said the Lord Yahweh, for because thou hast done this thing and hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, that in blessing I will bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore, and thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemies. And in thy seed shall all nations of the earth be blessed, because thou hast obeyed my voice. So that's the blessing, but it was through Isaac, you know. So, fast forwarding, let me go to this right here. So fast forwarding, a little bit through the chosen line, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? So that was the chosen line. But we have here basically the blessing that was going to be blessed on the children of Israel, going back to, Abraham's seed being multiplied through the chosen line. The Most High gave the Israelites two choices, blessings or cursings. So I start from 1. Deuteronomy 28:1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord Yahweh thy power, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord Yahweh thy power will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. It says, and all these blessings shall come upon thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord Yahweh thy power. And then it goes into it, just blessed at all angles pretty much. Then it says, consequences. It says, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy power, Yahweh, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. And then it goes, cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. Right. So then it goes, all into the cursing. And basically, we end up falling off. We end up falling off and being cursed. And that's why I want to grab this. We discontinued from our heritage. Because this, and matter of fact, these are laws. If you go back to it, it says you have to listen to his commandments, right? Verse 1 again, it says, and it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord Yahweh thy power, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord Yahweh thy power will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. But what? We didn't listen, So let me grab this. This is Ecclesiastes 17. All right, so verse 1 goes into Ecclesiasticus chapter 17, verse 1. It said, the Lord created man of the earth, turn him into it again. Basically what? That goes into like life and death. Create them from the earth and then go back to the earth. It says, he gave them few days in a short time and power also over things therein. It says, he endued them with the strength by themselves and made them according to his image, and put the fear of man upon all flesh, and gave him dominion over beasts and fowls. It says, they received the use of the five operations of the Lord Yahweh, and in the sixth place, he imparted them understanding, and in the seventh speech, an interpreter of the cognition thereof. Counsel and a tongue and eyes, ears, and a heart gave he them to understand. It says, withal, he filled them with knowledge of understanding and showed them good and evil, right? And that goes back to what we just, basically through the commandments, right? The law, statutes, and commandments. It says he set his eye upon their hearts that he might show them the greatness of his works. He gave them to glory in his marvelous acts forever, that they might declare his works with understanding. And the elect shall praise his holy name. Because ultimately it boils down to, in these last days, the elect of the Israelites are the ones that's going to be saved here in these last days, because you have a 1/3 and a 2/3, and that's what it's boiled down to, which, I'll grab it and we'll kind of, get to it when I explain, Zechariah 13. Zechariah 13:8, it says, and it shall come to pass that in all the land, said the Lord Yahweh, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but a third shall be left therein, right? So this is talking about the Israelites. So 2 parts is the 2/3 of our people that's going to be cut off and die, but 1/3 will be delivered. And that goes into the elect that it's talking about. It says, and I will bring the third part through the fire. So the third part through the fire is the 1/3 of the Israelites going through the tribulations here on planet Earth, being judged and, tried, just like the faith of Abraham was shown, with him offering up his son, so it's kind of like us offering up ourselves, in his walk, right? And that's just the condition of the battle. This is the things that we go through here on earth to receive the glory to come. It says, and I will bring the third part through the fire and will refine them as silver is refined and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name and I will hear them. I will say it is my people, and they shall say the Lord Yahweh is my power. Right. And that's pretty much going to the point, because we fell off, but the elect is coming back. Right. So going back to where I was at over here, verse 10, it says, and the elect shall praise his holy name. It says, beside this, he gave them knowledge in the law of life for an heritage. So the law of the life for an heritage is what? The commandments, the law, statutes, and commandments. Right. And that's how we're set apart. We're different, from the rest of the people. Grab that. John 7:6, it says, for thou art an holy people unto Lord Yahweh thy power. The Lord Yahweh thy power have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. It says, the Lord Yahweh did not set his love upon you, nor choose you because you were more in number than any people, for you were the fewest of all people, but because the Lord Yahweh loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he has sworn unto your fathers, have the Lord Yahweh brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. It says, know therefore that the Lord Yahweh thy power, he is God, the faithful God, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations. Right. And that's us. Right. We're the one that keeps the commandments because he gave it to us. Right. And I'll grab that next. It says, and repayeth them that hate him to their face to destroy them. He will not be slack to him that hateth him. He will repay him to his face. It says, thou shalt therefore keep the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which I command thee this day to do them. See? So we're a special people because of the commandments, right? That the Most High Yahweh Bashman Shah gave to us. That's what set us apart from the different nations. And it even goes into it up here, I'll just, matter of fact, I'll get from one. So it goes in warnings, Deuteronomy 7:1. It says, when the Lord Yahweh, thy power, shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and have cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. And when the Lord Yahweh thy power shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his sons, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy sons. For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord Yahweh be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. Right? It says, but thus shall ye deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars and break down their images and cut down their groves and burn their graven images with fire. Right? It says, for thou art an holy people unto the Lord Yahweh thy power. The Lord Yahweh thy power has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Right? So these different nations are going off, they worship different idols, right? And they will even, cause us to follow their other gods and things like that if our sons was to marry their daughters and things like that. Right? So you can go over here. Psalms 147. This is Psalms 147:19. It says, he showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise you, the Lord Yahweh Bashmi Shai. See, so we're special because we know his statutes, his judgments, the commandments, right? As for everyone else, they don't know it, right? They're left to worship idols and the beasts of the field and all these different things that the Most High Yahweh has put on earth. That's for them to go after, but we go after Yahweh Bashmi Shai, right? So let me go back to where I was at. So I'm gonna go over here now. I'll continue a little bit. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 17, verse 11. It says, besides this, he gave them knowledge in the law of life for an heritage. He made an everlasting covenant with them and showed them his judgments. It says, their eyes saw the majesty of his glory and their ears heard his glorious voice. And he said unto them, beware of all unrighteousness, and he gave every man commandment concerning his neighbor. See, so he gave us the law, statutes, and commandments, right? That's our heritage. And that's what verse 11 goes into, right? And I mean, the title, this is what? Heritage. This is who we are. This is what sets us apart and makes us different. How the Most High set us up to know righteousness, right? So we go over here. All right, so I want verse 23. Someone just grab that. So this is Ecclesiastes chapter 24, verse 23. It says, all these things are the book of the covenant of the Most High Yahweh, Bashmi Shai, even the law which Moses commanded for an heritage unto the congregation of Jacob. Right, and that's all Israelites. That's the law, statutes, commandments, the tablets, the 10 commandments, but basically the whole book, the whole law. All this was given to the Israelites, as a heritage, like it just said there. Going back to Romans 9:4, who are the Israelites? To whom pertaineth the adoption? Right? What is the adoption? Yahweh choosing us, taking us to himself, right? It says in the glory, in the covenants, in the giving of the law, in the service of Yahweh and the promises. So everything in the Bible, all of that belongs to us. The law, the service of Yahweh doing the actual work, right? And all the promises written, So, but what? We didn't listen. Matter of fact, let me grab this. Amos 3:1, it says, hear this word that the Lord Yahweh hath spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth, therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities. right? And that's, what is that? Sin. And what is sin? Sin is transgression of the law. And once again, the law is our heritage. So the Most High is punishing us for what? Like I got in Deuteronomy 28, he gave us, two options, the blessings or the cursings. And we went off, we follow after different idols. So the Most High is punishing us. And it's only us that he knows, Let me grab this Jeremiah. This is Jeremiah 17:1. It says, the sin of Judah is written with a pen of iron and with the point of a diamond. It is graven upon the table of their mind and upon the horns of your altars. While as their children remember their altars and their groves by the green trees upon the high hills, O my mountain in the field, I will give thy substance and all thy treasures to spoil, and thy high places for sin throughout all thy borders. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not, for ye have kindled a fire in mine anger which shall burn forever. Right? And it's not literally talking about forever, because Isaiah 14 says that he will, ultimately choose the Israelites. Now I'm gonna grab this NLT. This is Jeremiah 17:1. And what was that sin? That goes back to us, discontinuing from our heritage, basically, turning away from the Lord, not listening to the law, statutes, and commandments, right? Not abiding to the covenant that we had with him, the first covenant. It says, and we'll grab that next probably, most likely. Jeremiah 17:1 says, the sin of Judah is inscribed with an iron chisel, engraved with a diamond point on their stony hearts and on the corners of their altars. Even their children go to worship at their pagan altars and Asherah poles beneath every green tree and on every high hill, right? So this is us going off. This is us following after the different idols, right? Following after the heathen. All right. It says, verse 3, so I will hand over my holy mountain along with all your wealth and treasures and your pagan shrines as plunder to your enemies, for sin runs rampant in your land. It says, the wonderful possession I have reserved for you will slip from your hands. I will tell your enemies to take you as captives to a foreign land, for my anger blazes like a fire that will burn forever. But it sounds better than KJV, But yeah, that's us, going off. So anyway, Jeremiah 17:4, it says, and thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. And what is the heritage? The laws, the statutes, the commandments, right? It says, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land in which thou knowest not, where you have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever. Now let me grab this. What is it? Maybe Jeremiah 30. One is Hebrews. I was trying to find who grab this. All right, so we'll just grab this one. Oh, this is okay. It's Jeremiah 31 and 30. All right, grab this. All right, Jeremiah 31 and 31. So this is the covenant. Well, I mean the new covenant. Jeremiah 31 and 31 says, behold, the days come, said the Lord Yahweh, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. Why? Because the old covenant we broke. It says, not according to the covenant I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break. Although I was an husband unto them, said the Lord Yahweh, wash me outside. And that covenant was to, listen to the law, statutes, and commandments, and not go off. It says, but this shall be the covenant I will make with the house of Israel after those days, said the Lord Yahweh. I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and will be their power, and they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know the Lord Yahweh, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, said the Lord Yahweh, for I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sins no more. See, and that's pretty much what I was saying. Basically with this new covenant that we're going to get into, we're gonna have the laws in our inward parts. That way, we can't go off no more. We can't break the covenant no more because we're gonna automatically know and do them, right? And it also says here what it says: "For I will forgive their iniquity and remember their sin no more." So ultimately, like I was reading earlier when it said forever, it wasn't actual forever thing, because the Most High is gonna make a new covenant with us. This is Isaiah 14:1. It says, "For the Lord Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land." So, that's that mercy on us. "And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob." Right. So basically, this is all Israelites coming back together, right? Just like Ezekiel 37 goes into, and we'll probably get a little bit of that next. It says, "And the people shall take them and bring them to the place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord Yahweh for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, who captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors." See, so ultimately, all the promises, pertaining, to us in the Bible, we're gonna get, and that's going to that new covenant. And also, we're gonna, take the heathen and have them as servants and handmaids. So let me grab this. Ezekiel 37. Right, here we go. Ezekiel 37:15, it says, "The word of the Lord Yahweh came again unto me, saying," right, and what is this going to? Basically, the vision of the valley of the dry bones, us being in a dead state, because why? We discontinued from our heritage, we got the law, statutes, and commandments beat up out of us through slavery, right? And that's because what? The Lord had, his fire kindled, towards us because we, stopped listening to him. So that's what that's part going into. Now it says reunion of Judah and Israel. So this is us coming back together, and then what? Ultimately, the elect turning back to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. It says Ezekiel 37:15, it says, "The word of the Lord Yahweh came again unto me, saying, Moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it for Judah and for the children of Israel, his companions. Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph and the stick of Ephraim and for all the house of Israel, his companions. And join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thine hand. And when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, Wilt thou now show us what thou meanest by these? Say unto them, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua, behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel, his fellows, and will put them with him, even with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in mine hand. And the sticks whereon thou writest shall be in thine hand before their eyes. And say unto them, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whither they be gone, and will gather them on every side and bring them into their own land. It says, And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all, and they shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms any more at all. It says, Neither shall they defile themselves any more with their idols, nor their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions. It says, But I will save them out of all their dwelling places wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them, so shall they be my people, and I will be their power, right? And so, basically self-explanatory, what? Judah and Ephraim coming back together, and this goes, to the 12th tribe sign chart. When you see the brothers speaking, if I believe correctly, on my YouTube page right down here, when the video goes up, you should see it right here also. When you watch it on YouTube, I know I did that. I don't know if it's there. I'll probably check or not. But it goes into that 12 tribe chart, right? And it's to show, our people that we're coming back together as one. Just like the scriptures say here, we're no longer divided. We're put back together again, basically. Let me grab this. Isaiah 58. All right, this is Isaiah 58:13. It says, we grab NLT. Isaiah 58:13, it says, keep the Sabbath day holy. Don't pursue your own interests on that day, but enjoy the Sabbath and, and, and speak of it with delight as the Lord Yahweh holy day. Honor the Sabbath and everything you do on that day, and don't follow your own desires or talk idly. It says, then the Lord Yahweh will be your delight. I will give you great honor and satisfy you with the inheritance I promised to your ancestors, Jacob. To your ancestor Jacob, I, the Lord Yahweh, have spoken. So we have that KJV. Right, and this is basically, going to what? Keeping the whole law, and not just keeping the whole law, because we can't keep the whole law now perfectly, right? That's why we broke the first covenant. We're only rehearsing the righteous acts as the scriptures say, but basically turning back to the Lord Yahweh in these last days is key, and trying your best to keep the laws, and rehearse the righteous acts, like I just said. Isaiah 58:13, it says, if thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasures on my holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight, the holy of the Lord Yahweh honorable, and shalt honor him, not doing thine own ways, nor finding thine own pleasures, nor speaking thine own words. So keeping the Sabbath, that's part of the Ten Commandments, So that's going back to keeping the law, but which the law is a part of our heritage. And we're going to get that in the new covenant fully. It's going to be put in our inward parts, so we can't break it. Isaiah 58:14, it says, then shalt thou delight thyself in the Lord Yahweh, and I will cause thee to ride upon the high places of the earth, and feed thee with the heritage of Jacob thy father. For the mouth of the Lord Yahweh, Bashim has spoken it. Right? So, pretty much that's it. Our heritage is the law, right? That's what we belong to, and that's what makes us holy, set apart, different, from the nations. And, so I think that's it. Lord willing, you are edified from the lesson. I'll say shalom to the oath elect, which consists of men, women, and children. Shalom.